is Tania, and today I am sharing how to make an easy mixed media art journal page using Altenew supplies. I'm going to be using Altenew watercolor paper. Um, if you're using lots of wet media, I would recommend using Altenew watercolor paper as it can withstand a lot of wet media. So I have cut down a page from the paper pad, and I'm using the on the plus side stencil with Altenew's embossing paste, and I'm applying the embossing paste with a palette knife, and I'm applying it on the opposite corners of the page that I've cut down, and I'm sort of feathering the edges so that I'm not getting a complete impression towards the middle. And before the embossing paste dries, I am just going over the edges with my finger to get off all the nubby bits before they dry. Now, in mixed media, the real trick is to keep drying in between each wet medium that you apply. Otherwise, your mediums will get smudged or muddy. The colors might blend in together in a way that you might not want to. So here I've dried the embossing paste with my heat tool, and I've got the metallic shimmer mists here. Here I'm using warm sunshine. I've given it a good shake before I'm spraying it onto my art journal page. And you'll notice that I'm spraying at a slight angle and a bit further away from the art journal page to get a more of an area effect. And I'm making sure not to cover the whole page. And again, I am making sure to dry the spray in between, and then I'm taking some embossing ink and I've lightly tapped it over the textured surface, and I'm covering it with some clear embossing powder. Now I'm giving the clear embossing powder really good flick, and also rubbing off some of the embossing powder with my fingers so that it's not completely covering the surface. I'm doing this deliberately because I want a distressed effect, and I'm using clear embossing powder because I want to do some resist effects. So now I'm taking some ocean wave metallic shimmer spray, and again I sprayed it from the side over the top of the warm sunshine shimmer spray, and also on the other two corners, again spraying at an angle and deliberately gently pressing the spray so that I'm getting some splatters, some larger splatters as well. So because I've used clear embossing powder will resist any liquid medium that I add over the top. So as you saw, I buffed off the ocean wave with a wet wipe, and here I am using some a paintbrush to make some splatters with some jet black ink spray as well. You don't need to use your sprays as a spray. You can use them to paint. You can open the bottle up, you can dip your paintbrush in and just paint with it. And I love adding splatters because splatters are fun, they're messy, and as you can see, I love making messes um, as well. And here is a closer look at the textured background. So I'm using the Hello Gorgeous stamp set, and I'm using the larger flower from the stamp set, and I'm taking a piece of cardstock that is slightly larger than the image, and I'm stamping onto a thick piece of card. You can use Altenew's watercolor paper as well, and once I stamp that, I stamped it with permanent black ink. I am die cutting it. Now I'm going to be doing some partial die cutting. So what I'm doing is I am laying my die that I've lined up over the stamped image, and I'm laying it a little bit over the edge. And what that does is where the die was laying over the edge, it won't cut there. So the piece is still attached to my cardstock that I stamped on towards the bottom. So after removing the die, there you can see that it's still attached. I wanted to do this because I wanted to extend the line of the stem of the flower. So this is another way that you can get different effects with your die cut and stamped images. So I'm cutting it out, making sure to leave a white border around the stem so that it looks like it matches with the rest of the image. So now I am coming down to doing some watercoloring with the watercolor brush markers. I'm using the Spring Garden set. All of the supplies that I'm using are going to be linked on the blog and also in the description box below if you're watching on YouTube. So this is a way that I love to use the watercolor brush markers. I will be the first person to admit that I am not an expert at coloring. There are some really amazing artists like Iram Tasneem, who I absolutely adore, who does a fantastic job with mediums of all sorts and coloring. So what I do is I just apply the watercolor markers. First, I apply water on the stamped image, and then I apply the marker around the edges, and then I blend it out. It's as simple as that. What I love about Altenew is that it makes it really, really simple for someone like me who's not really that great at watercoloring and get really actually not bad looking effects, if I should say so myself, with minimum effort. So once I've finished my flower, I have die cut some alphabets out with the fine alphabet set in black cardstock, and I'm stamping the word beautiful directly onto my art journal page. Because I've got the sprays on there, I have to stamp it out a couple of times so that I can get a good clear impression. So I've die cut the word out day twice in black cardstock, and I'm gluing the identical alphabets together just to give it a slightly more raised effect, and then I'm gluing it down onto my art journal page. And I deliberately laid the Y from the word day under the F so that it makes it look a bit more cohesive. And I've applied foam tape underneath my flower die cut, and I have stuck it down onto my page. And here is a closer look at the finished art journal page. I hope that you enjoy the video. Uh, Please subscribe, comment, and like if you're watching on YouTube, and leave us a comment. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Take care and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.